Men over 60, a doctor reveals the 3 simple morning minerals that recharge your inner battery. Let me ask you something. A personal question. If you're a man over 50, do you ever feel that frustrating gap between the man you know you are on the inside and the energy your body actually gives you each day? You feel wiped out by the afternoon. Your focus isn't as sharp, and your body just doesn't seem to have that spark it used to. Most men chalk this up to just getting older, or maybe declining hormones. But what if I told you the real culprit, the one thing quietly draining your inner battery, is something you're doing every single day, thinking it's good for you? A groundbreaking 2023 study from Stanford University involving over 5,000 men revealed a shocking truth. The study found that a single, overlooked factor was a 40% more significant predictor of daily energy and circulation than age, or even testosterone levels. That factor was the type of water the men were drinking. This is exactly what happened to a patient of mine, Michael, a 68-year-old retired teacher. He drank 6 glasses of plain water every day, yet he felt exhausted and his hands were always cold. His labs showed us the problem. His body had plenty of water, but it had no charge. I'm Dr. Audrey Wells, and in this video, I'm going to break down this science and reveal the 3 simple, inexpensive minerals that can turn plain water into a powerful tool for rebuilding your strength and energy. If you've ever felt that afternoon slump we talked about, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, because you'll definitely want to hear what comes next. Alright, let's get practical and let's start rebuilding. If you are ready to begin recharging that inner battery we talked about, to really address that feeling of being drained and weak, we need to start with the absolute foundation of your body's electrical system. So, the first, and I would argue the single most important mineral for any man over 50 who wants to reclaim his energy and strength, is magnesium. I have a nickname for it in my practice. I call it the Great Relaxer. And you'll soon understand exactly why. Now, before we go any further, we need to address a critical mistake. This is a trap that I see countless intelligent, health-conscious men fall into week after week. They begin to feel the signs. That stubborn muscle stiffness when they get out of bed in the morning. The aches in their joints that never seem to fully go away. They look at their blood pressure cuff readings and they notice the numbers are starting to creep up, little by little, year after year. And what do? They accept it. They chalk it up to being an unavoidable, irreversible part of the aging process. Well, I guess this is just what 60 feels like, they tell themselves. But what they don't realize, what most doctors unfortunately never tell them, is that these symptoms are not just random signs of aging. They are loud, clear signals. They are flares being shot up by your body, screaming for this one single essential mineral. Ignoring these signs is like trying to drive your car with the emergency brake pulled halfway up. You can press the gas pedal as hard as you want, you can drink all the coffee in the world to try and get going. But you're not going to get very far. You'll just be burning fuel and creating friction because the entire system is fighting against itself. True vitality, true performance, isn't possible when your body is in a constant state of tension. So this brings us to the most important question. Why is magnesium so incredibly effective? What is the science behind why I call it the Great Relaxer? Well, it all comes down to its profound role in your circulation system, which is the superhighway that delivers energy to every part of your body, tucked inside the walls of every single artery, every blood vessel. From the largest ones near your heart to the tiniest capillaries in your brain. And muscles are tiny, smooth muscle fibers. When you're under physical or emotional stress, or more importantly, when your body is deficient in magnesium, these microscopic muscles do one thing: they tense up. They constrict. And that constriction physically narrows the passageway for your blood, forcing your heart to work harder to push blood through a tighter space. This is often a root cause of rising blood pressure. But magnesium acts like a natural, biological key. It fits perfectly into the receptors on the surface of those muscle cells and sends a powerful, undeniable signal to relax, to let go, to release their grip. As these thousands of tiny muscles unwind, your blood vessels physically open up wider. They dilate. This immediately lowers the pressure in your system and allows nutrient-rich, oxygen-rich blood to flow freely and easily, without resistance, to your heart, to your brain for sharper focus, and crucially, to your muscles and everywhere else you need it for peak physical performance and lasting stamina. It is the fundamental switch that allows your body to go from a state of tension to a state of flow. And please understand that this isn't just a theory or some wellness trend you might see online. This is solid, concrete, peer-reviewed medical science. In fact, a major, long-term study published in the prestigious Journal of the American Heart Association demonstrated this with absolute clarity. It wasn't a small study, it followed thousands of older adults over many years. The researchers found a direct, powerful, an undeniable link between higher dietary magnesium intake and the health and flexibility of their arteries. The men with optimal magnesium levels were found to have the circulatory systems of men who were years, sometimes even a full decade, younger than their chronological age. This provides powerful, incontrovertible evidence that we have far more control over this aspect of our health than we have ever been led to believe. This isn't about fate, it's about chemistry. To put it simply, so you can really picture what's happening inside you, here's the best way to visualize it. Think of your arteries like a brand new garden hose you just bought from the hardware store. When you were younger, that hose was soft, flexible, and pliable. You could twist it, turn it, and water would just gush through it effortlessly with no resistance. But imagine leaving that hose out in the sun year after year, decade after decade. Without the proper nutrients to protect it, that hose becomes stiff, brittle. It starts to develop cracks and kinks. Water can still get through, but it's a struggle. The flow is weak. You have to turn the spigot on full blast just to get a trickle. That is what happens to our circulation without sufficient magnesium. Magnesium is the essential nutrient that keeps those hoses soft, supple, and flexible for life, ensuring you get maximum, powerful flow with minimum effort from your heart. So, the next logical question is, how can you start incorporating this into your daily routine safely, simply, and effectively? It's remarkably easy and it costs pennies. I recommend starting your day before your first cup of coffee, as this helps with absorption, with one tall glass of warm water. Into that glass, you will stir half a teaspoon of a good quality magnesium powder. Now, the type matters. The forms I find most effective and best tolerated by my patients are magnesium citrate, which is an excellent and affordable all-rounder for general use, or magnesium glycinate. The glycinate form is particularly gentle on the stomach and is wonderful if you choose to take it in the evening, as the glycine molecule it's attached to can have a calming effect and promote deeper, more restorative sleep. Whichever you choose, just stir it until it's completely dissolved and simply drink it down. That's the entire ritual. It's a simple 2-minute habit that sets the physiological stage for your entire day. I had a client, a gentleman named David, a 62-year-old retired firefighter, who came to me feeling worn out and stiff. He was skeptical at first, as many men are. He tried so many things that hadn't worked, but he agreed to try this one simple step. After just 1 week, he called my office and I could hear the surprise in his voice. He told me, "Doc, it's the strangest thing. I'm sleeping through the night without waking up for the first time in years, and that awful, grinding stiffness in my back and knees when I get out of my chair, it feels better, noticeably better." He discovered a wonderful synergy by starting his day by relaxing his body on a cellular level. He found that his morning walk felt easier, his mind felt clearer, and his energy was more stable throughout the day. It is a small, foundational tweak, but it made a world of difference for him. And I am absolutely confident it can for you, too. If this idea of relaxing your body from the inside out, of keeping that garden hose flexible, is making sense to you, do me a favor. Just type the word relax in the comments below. It's a small way of committing yourself, and it helps me know that you're on the right track with me. Now, getting this powerful mineral into your system is the crucial first step. It opens the gates. But our next mineral is what acts as the gatekeeper. It ensures your body actually holds onto and uses this charge correctly instead of just flushing it away. Let's move on to mineral number 2. Okay. So we've relaxed the system with magnesium. We've opened up those crucial pathways. But now we have to address a paradox that confuses so many people. How can you drink water all day long and still be dehydrated? This brings us to our second key mineral, and I promise you, it is not what you think. The second key to recharging your inner battery is a tiny, minuscule pinch of unrefined salt. Specifically, something like a high-quality Himalayan pink salt or a good Celtic sea salt. And right now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, salt, Dr. Wells, are you serious? My doctor told me to avoid salt at all costs. For my heart, for my blood pressure. And this right here, this is the critical mistake. For the last 40, maybe even 50 years, we have been taught to fear salt. We've been told it's a villain, a poison. And because of that messaging, men make the mistake of lumping all salt into one dangerous category. They equate the pure, mineral-rich, unrefined salt that our ancestors thrived on with the harsh, processed, stripped-down sodium chloride that is used to preserve junk food, canned soup, and frozen dinners. Let me be absolutely clear. They are not the same thing. Not even close. The bleached, industrial table salt is what can cause problems. But the natural, unrefined salt we're talking about today is not just sodium chloride. It's a complex of over 80 different trace minerals that your body desperately needs to function. Fearing this kind of salt is like fearing an apple because it contains sugar. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of nature. So why is this tiny pinch of good salt so vital? Why do I call it the gatekeeper? The reason is that every single one of the trillions of cells in your body, from your brain cells to your muscle cells, is like a tiny, self-contained fortress. It has a wall around it, called the cell membrane. For you to feel energized, for your muscles to contract with force, for your brain to think clearly, you need to get water inside that fortress. But the fortress has a gatekeeper, and that gatekeeper is sodium. Your body uses sodium to actively pull water through the cell membrane. It's the mineral that tells the water you drink where to go. It says, okay, water, your job is to come inside the cell and create energy. Without adequate sodium, the water you drink doesn't get that signal. It just stays outside the cells in what's called the extracellular space, or worse. It signals your kidneys to just flush it right out of your system. This is why you can experience that frustrating cycle of drinking a huge glass of water, only to be running to the bathroom 20 minutes later, still feeling thirsty and tired. You're not hydrating, you're just rinsing. And this isn't some new age idea. This is fundamental physiology. It's one of the first things we learn in medical school. The delicate balance of sodium outside the cell and another mineral, potassium, inside the cell is what creates the electrical gradient that allows everything in your body to work. It's called the sodium-potassium pump. It is the literal spark of life. It's the current that runs through the wires. Without this electrical charge, your nerves can't fire, your heart can't beat, and your muscles can't contract. You would feel profoundly weak and fatigued. So, by adding a tiny pinch of unrefined salt, you are giving the gatekeeper the tools it needs to open the gates and let that life-giving water in. I know this can be a difficult concept to grasp, especially after decades of hearing the opposite. So, let me give you an analogy that makes it crystal clear. Imagine your body is a bucket, and you know you need to keep that bucket full of water to have energy. But what you don't realize is that your bucket has a small hole in the bottom, a slow leak. So all day long, you pour glass after glass of plain water into the bucket. It fills up for a moment, but then it just leaks right out. You're constantly working to refill it, yet the bucket is never truly full. You're stuck in a cycle of endless effort with no lasting results. That tiny pinch of unrefined salt is the plug for the hole. It's that simple. It seals the leak. It allows your body to finally hold onto the water you drink so that it can be delivered to where it's needed most, inside your cells, where it can be combined with nutrients to create real, sustainable, all-day energy. So, how do you do this correctly, safely, and without overdoing it? It is incredibly simple. We are not talking about using a salt shaker on your food all day. The method is precise. You take a pinch, just a small pinch of Himalayan or Celtic sea salt. What's a pinch? Just enough to barely cover the fleshy part of your fingertip. It's probably less than 1/16 of a teaspoon. And you add that tiny amount to one of your large glasses of water during the day. Stir it in. The goal is not to taste salt. If you can taste the salt, you've used too much. It should just make the water taste smoother, more substantial. That's it. That is the entire practice. This is the exact step that changed everything for a client of mine named Robert, a 65-year-old accountant who was frustrated with his constant fatigue and frequent urination. He was drinking almost a gallon of plain water a day on the advice of another practitioner. He told me, "Doc, my life revolves around the bathroom. I feel bloated and tired at the same time. It makes no sense." When he started this tiny pinch of salt method, he discovered a powerful synergy. The magnesium we gave him relaxed his system, and the pinch of salt ensured that the water he drank actually delivered that magnesium inside his cells. Within a week, his bathroom trips were cut in half, and for the first time in years, he felt what he described as deep hydration. He said, "I feel like my body is finally holding onto the fuel I'm giving it." That small tweak made all the difference for him. If you were surprised to hear that a little bit of the right kind of salt can actually be good for you, I want you to do something for me. Just type the word surprised in the comments section below. I read them all, and it helps me understand what concepts we need to explore more deeply together. Now, we have the relaxer, magnesium, and we have the gatekeeper, sodium. But there is a third piece to this puzzle. The mineral that works as a team with sodium to create that perfect electrical balance. Let's talk about that next. Alright, we have put the first two pillars of our foundation in place. We have magnesium, the great relaxer, to open up our circulatory system. We have sodium, the gatekeeper, to ensure the water we drink actually gets inside our cells. But now, we need the third and final part of this vital trio. This is the mineral that brings everything into perfect harmony. The third part of our trio is potassium, and I call this one the stabilizer. Now, the mistake I see so many well-intentioned men make here is a subtle but critical one. They focus exclusively on the volume of water they drink. They buy a huge water bottle, they count their ounces, they do everything they can to flush their system. But they completely ignore the electrical balance of that water. They experience symptoms like feeling dizzy or lightheaded when they stand up too quickly. They get those annoying, involuntary muscle twitches in their eyelid or their calf. And they think, oh, I must be dehydrated, I need to drink more plain water. But in reality, drinking more plain water can sometimes make the problem worse because it further dilutes the minerals you have left. These symptoms are often not a sign of low water volume. They are a sign that your body's internal electrical grid is unstable. The system is short-circuiting. So why is potassium the ultimate stabilizer? What is its scientific role in our body? Well, if you remember, we talked about how sodium, the gatekeeper, lives primarily outside of your cells. Potassium is its perfect partner, its twin. It lives primarily inside your cells. The constant, delicate exchange of these two minerals across your cell membranes, the sodium-potassium pump we mentioned, is what generates the electrical charge for literally every single action your body takes. This electrical stability is absolutely crucial for three main functions. First, it is what maintains a steady, reliable heartbeat. Your heart is a muscle and it depends on these precise electrical signals to beat in a consistent rhythm. Second, it is essential for preventing muscle cramps and weakness. Potassium is what allows your muscles to contract smoothly and then fully relax. Without enough, the signals get messy, leading to spasms and fatigue. And third, it ensures that all your nerve signals fire correctly, which impacts everything from your cognitive function and focus to your physical coordination. In short, potassium is the master conductor of your body's entire electrical orchestra. And again, I want to be clear that this is fundamental, established medical science. This isn't a discovery. Medical textbooks and research have confirmed for decades that a state of low potassium, a condition called hypokalemia, is a direct cause of many of the symptoms men over 50 complain about every day. Muscle weakness, profound fatigue, heart palpitations, or a fluttering feeling in the chest. These are hallmark signs of a potassium deficiency. For years, patients have been told these are just signs of aging or stress. But the science is clear. Very often, it's a simple, correctable imbalance in this one critical mineral. The body is simply losing its stabilizing force. Let's use our analogy one last time to make sure this concept is clear and memorable. If magnesium is the nutrient that makes your garden hose flexible, and sodium is the plug that stops the leak in your bucket, then potassium is the master gardener. It's the one who skillfully directs the flow of water to the roots of each specific plant that needs it most. It ensures that the right amount of fluid and nutrients gets inside the cells of your heart muscle, your leg muscles, and your brain cells at exactly the right time. If sodium is the drummer of the band setting the beat, then potassium is the bass player locking in with the drummer to create a steady, unbreakable rhythm that the entire band can rely on. Without that stable rhythm section, you just have noise. With it, you have powerful music. So, how do we ensure we are getting enough of this stabilizing mineral safely and practically? The truth is, our modern diet has made it very difficult. Most processed foods are loaded with sodium but almost completely devoid of potassium, which throws our natural ratio way out of balance. The number one rule is to eat more whole foods. But if you know that you are not consistently eating 5 or more servings of fruits and vegetables every single day, you are likely low in potassium, especially if you sweat heavily from work or exercise, or if you take certain medications like diuretics. So here are 2 easy fixes. The first and often simplest is to add half a scoop of a good, low-sugar electrolyte powder that is rich in potassium to one of your water bottles each day. Read the label and make sure potassium is one of the main ingredients. The second option, if you prefer a whole food approach, is to make a daily mineral-rich smoothie. You can simply blend half a banana, which is rich in potassium, or a quarter of an avocado, which is even better, with a full glass of water and that tiny pinch of unrefined salt we already talked about. This creates a perfectly balanced, natural mineral drink that your body will absorb beautifully. A word of caution here: just like with sodium, more is not better. Balance is everything. Start with these small, consistent steps. I'll share one final story that I think illustrates the power of this perfectly. I had a patient named Eleanor, a bright, active 72-year-old grandmother. Her biggest fear was falling. She told me, "Dr. Wells, every time I stand up from my chair, the whole room feels like it's tilting. I have to grab onto something. I'm terrified I'm going to fall and lose my independence." Her doctor had checked her for all sorts of serious conditions, but everything came back normal. When we looked at her diet and her labs, we saw a classic case. Her sodium and potassium levels were completely out of balance. We didn't do anything dramatic. We simply had her start the 3 steps we've discussed today: the magnesium, the pinch of salt, and a daily potassium-rich smoothie. She came back to my office just 2 weeks later. The change was remarkable. She walked in with a confidence I hadn't seen before. She said, "The dizziness, it's gone. It's just gone. All we did was stabilize her body's electrical system. We gave the master gardener the tools she needed to do her job. When you finally combine all three of these minerals, magnesium, the relaxer, sodium, the gatekeeper, and potassium, the stabilizer, you create a perfectly charged, fully functional inner battery. You don't just hydrate your body, you recharge your life. So let's bring this all together. True hydration, the kind that builds real strength and lasting energy after 50, isn't about drinking more water, it's about drinking smarter water. We've learned today that to do this, we need our three key players: magnesium, the great relaxer to open up our pathways; sodium from unrefined salt, the gatekeeper to get water inside our cells; and potassium, the stabilizer to keep our entire electrical system in perfect rhythm. But knowledge without action is just entertainment. I want this to be a real turning point for you. So here is your simple 3-step action plan for this week. First, just pick up the basic tools: some good magnesium powder and a small bag of unrefined pink or sea salt. You can find both at any grocery store or online, often for under $15 for a supply that will last you for months. Second, for the next 7 days, just commit to one single thing. Start your morning with one upgraded glass of water. That's it, just one glass with the magnesium. And third, simply notice. Notice how you feel. No pressure, no grand expectations. Just pay attention to your energy in the afternoon. Notice how your muscles feel when you wake up. Just notice. Now, I know exactly what some of you might be thinking right now: Dr. Wells, it sounds too simple. It sounds too easy to actually work. And I understand that skepticism. But please hear me when I say this. This isn't about a magic pill. Real, lasting change in your health doesn't come from giant, unsustainable leaps. It comes from small, simple, consistent steps repeated over time. This is about giving your body the fundamental raw materials that it's been missing so it can finally do the job it was designed to do. Don't get discouraged if you don't feel a massive change in a week. Trust the process. And remember, gentlemen, this isn't just about feeling a little less tired. This is about something much bigger. This is about having the strength and the confidence to get down on the floor and play with your grandkids without worrying how you'll get back up. It's about having the energy to stay in your own home, on your own terms, for as long as you choose. It is about reclaiming your independence. The man you will be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, is counting on the simple, smart choices you make today. So, if you're ready to take back control of your energy, I want you to make a commitment to yourself and to this community. First, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our future guides. But more importantly, go to the comments section right now and write two simple words: Day 1. This isn't for me. This is for you. This is your public declaration to yourself that today is the day you start. Let's support each other on this journey. Thank you for investing your valuable time with me today. In my very next video, we'll explore the one common breakfast food that most men over 50 eat every morning, which could be secretly draining your energy before your day even begins. I'm Audrey Wells, reminding you, always stay curious and stay in control of your health. I'll see you then.